Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring MrWillyarms in our bottom right corner, playing our red Protoss. That's fantastic. And at the top left, we have ViperXk, a far more normal name than MrWillyarms. I'm going to be rooting for him. I don't care. That's hilarious. Oh, Viper, you are a blue Terran. MrWillyarms is a silly, silly man, and they're both in Diamond, and we're on Ohana. So this is going to be a fun game. I love TVP. I really do. It's not nearly as chaotic as anything that has Zerg in it, and it's not nearly as boring as PvP. So and TVT, no one talks about it. It's basically like the younger brother who lives in the the closet. That no one talks about TVT. No one likes TVT. I guess people who play Terran would like TVT. But Viper enjoys walling off, and evidently does not enjoy Protoss. So, just some negativity. Maybe they've played before, maybe they know each other, maybe this is just Viper poking at MrWillyarms because he's Protoss and wants to get under his skin a little bit. Doesn't really matter. We got the gateway coming out for MrWillyarms. No early gas or any sort of shenanigans. I mean, the first 2 minutes as Protoss, you really can't do anything crazy except for place a pylon across the map and hope it doesn't get seen by Terran. On the other hand, Viper has all sorts of different build options he could go to. He is grabbing that gas, which means there's going to be some form of tech coming out. We're not 100% sure what, because that barracks can really decide to build whatever it wants to. Throw a reactor on there and you're going for some aggression. Throw a tech lab on there and you're going for maybe some Reapers. I don't know. Did you guys hear about the new Reaper upgrade? Yeah, combat awareness. They can look up ledges now, scout the high ground. I immediately thought of like two player teams, one Protoss, one Terran, Reaper on the low ground, scout the high ground for a warp in. Freaking awesome. But then again, if you have a Reaper, why don't you just jump up onto the top? I don't know. It's going to be nice and handy though to spot those Zerglings, make sure that they don't get ambushed or anything like that, because those Reapers are a hardy and stalwart investment. You don't really want to lose them just because some Zerglings got lucky on their patrol path. So I support this improvement. I really do. First Zealot coming out from the gateway to support the probes back at home. Scouting SCV from ViperXk. Notice that both of the assimilators are up. Pretty standard for Protoss to get those 2 gas, but it still points more to a 1-base play than a fast expansion, because not that the assimilator costs a bunch of money. It's not that. It's just that those assimilators cost 3 probes to mine off of. And those 3 probes directly relate to not having as much minerals as you would expect. So, it's just a delayed expansion. Doesn't mean the expansion is not coming. It just means that MrWillyarms is playing kind of passive. Kind of make sure that he's very secured on that 1 base before he even thinks about pushing out to that 2nd base. 2nd gateway dropping, as well as the warp gate tech well underway. Not spending his chrono boosts on the tech, rather on getting that sentry out to hold back any aggression coming out of Viper. However, we saw Viper had a gas already down. We've also seen, we've seen that the tech lab has been built on the barracks, but I don't think Willyarms knows that. All he knew was that there was 1 gas being grabbed, which might, scare him. He doesn't know that whenever his probe leaves that we don't throw down a 1-1, and Viper's pushing out with a very intimidating army. But as things are now, Viper's going more for a macro style build, getting that command center up just on the medium-sized Ohana's natural expansion. I love Ohana. It's very pretty, very beautiful. It's a beautiful place. Destructible debris, nice ramp leading down into the common ground, very sandy beaches. It's a nice place. Wow, a scan going off for Viper. Really not... I don't know if he's just paranoid that there's shenanigans going on inside the base. I mean, we've got the 2 gas, plenty of gas there to finance any sort of aggression. The robo is really... It was spotted from that scan, I assume. Let's see, it was not. Wow. So all he sees is that there's 3 gateways, which can be pretty terrifying. Because, there's 3 gates, they can afford 1 more tech structure. Is it going to be a Stargate and he's going to be dealing with Void Rays in a couple of seconds? Or Phoenixes? Or is it going to be a Robo and he's have to deal with some Immortals? Or is it going to be a Twilight Council and Blink Stalkers? It's really all sorts of different possibilities that Viper has to be prepared for, and he's doing that with 2 bunkers, just shoring up the defenses back at home. The ground army that Willyarms has out on the field right now is not very intimidating, because a lot of that money has been spent on this Nexus, which is going to get scouted by the SCV that was hiding out the bottom left side of the natural expand, throwing down that bunker. I didn't notice him at all. He's probably hanging out next to the geysers, where it's impossible to see him unless you're, you know, looking, paying attention like a good caster would. Terrible. 2 orbitals, nothing crazy except for the lack of gas for Viper. You know, just one geyser being tapped really means that he's going to have quite a lot of mineral heavy units, a lot of Marines, a very mobile ground-based army. Maybe get 1 or 2 more gas geysers tapped and get a starport out. Those 2 Marauders just, oh wow, the clutch stem kind of like tweaking through the force field. That was incredible. Once that Immortal makes its way into the bunker, he's going to be in great shape. That bunker did succeed going up next to the Nexus, but with nothing to reinforce it, nothing to get in it, there's, you know, not much that he can do to you know, hurt that Nexus there. Just needs a handful of units down there. 1 or 2 Marines could really do quite a lot of damage if they could make it to those bunkers, but I really don't think that they will be able to. WillyArms has a very intimidating hold on the common ground, especially with that Immortal now reinforcing. Viper's front door is just barely holding as things are. How much health does this guy have? I bet he doesn't have any. And it's really funny how WillyArms isn't even taking out just in 1 single zealot in there to deal some damage to the bunker to force the salvage. Oh, but here goes. These guys are going to try to do it. This is going to be hilarious if it succeeds. I'm smiling. I don't know if you guys can tell. Pulling a lot of the SCVs to hold the front door. Hopefully that's going to scare back WillyArms. It looks like they just succeeded in sneaking by. Maybe WillyArms wasn't paying attention to the minimap. Maybe he just realizes that there's not a lot of damage those guys can do unless they make their way into the bunker, which would just absolutely be devastating. However, saturation for both players, 37 over 31. Not bad at all, especially considering the mules are the only ones mining up at the north side of the natural expansion. 2 more bunkers being dropped. An observer up on the high ground, allowing a warp in on the high ground from the pylon at the same second. The Marauder makes it in with the Marines, and they're taking the front door to the House of Pain. Quite a lot of bunkers are up on the high ground. Those zealots have succeeded in taking out quite a lot of workers, but the equal number of workers have gone down back at the main base. The main army from WillyArms is pushing up the ramp, succeeded in taking down 3 of the bunkers. The 4th one totally empty. The zealots have succeeded in just decimating this whole entire expansion. And on the other side of things, WillyArms is only mining off of 1 base also. This natural is probably going to go down, what with the main army from WillyArms in the main base of Viper. All the SCVs have been pulled. Saturation is down to nothing at the natural. Oh, the clutch force field cuts off the SCVs from the rest of the units. All the Marines and the damage dealing units up at the top of the ramp. Succeeds in kiting back the zealots, though. Got to be careful. Maybe you should lift off that orbital. I don't know. Not a lot that can shoot up in this Protoss army. The Marines have succeeded in pushing their way down. A little misplaced on the force field. The Zealots have gone down. I think these Immortals are going to be in trouble in a couple of seconds. Nexus has fallen. The bunker has held against any sort of aggression coming out of WillyArms. Back to the natural expand. The Marine numbers have absolutely skyrocketed. However, we're down to 2 Harvesters for Viper. He's lost every single SCV he has to this aggression. 33 over 2. And Terran still has the lead in mineral income. That is absolutely ridiculous. Put all of those SCVs on mining gas and just rely on your mules for the time being, because there's not a lot you can do except for build. Maybe I would build another command center and kind of triple out the pro production. You've succeeded in taking down a Nexus. Viper's not in a bad spot by any stretch of the imagination, but the workers killed. Man, that is just devastating. That is absolutely devastating. I never would have thought that that economy could have been that bad. And remember, the pylon is placed so that another warp-in can happen eventually once the observer makes its way back. But intimidating army from Viper. His entire supply count is army, 45, and 30 of this is probes. So Viper definitely has a more intimidating army. It looks like he's pulling his back home base, but the bunker does go down. That Marauder, unfortunately, with only 5 hit points, does fall. But the single Marine, I did it. He's a good guy. He's a pro. I'll tell you that. Viper has his intimidating stranglehold on the common ground, but man, 6 Harvesters to 28. How is this even possible? And he still has time to build supply depots. You know, screw building SCVs. I need supplies. Yes, this is priorities. But both players are just so scrapped for cash. I mean, barely mining off of one base. He doesn't have enough money to throw down another Nexus on the low ground. He's got the extended thermal lances coming out, and 2 Colossi are going to be able to do so much damage to the Marines that are out on the field. Every stem is basically damage that will never come back. We don't have we do have a starport out on the field. It's got a reactor on it, but he's producing Vikings right now to deal some damage to those Colossi. Got to be careful with all those sentries. Sentries don't do a lot of damage. Those stalkers, you know, that's significantly more damage. Got to be careful with those Vikings, though. They're basically his only defense against those Colossi. Going to be a little bit of a nimble dance right now because Viper cannot afford to get into a straight-on engagement. If he loses his ground-based army, he doesn't have the opportunity to re-macro it because his harvester count is still less than half of what MrWillyarms has. WillyArms has saved up enough money. He's probably going to drop down his Nexus in a couple of seconds. Or he had enough money, but then he decided to build 2 pylons instead. Probably a good decision there. You don't want to get supply blocked whenever things are so tense. Viper is still mining off of 2 bases, but those bases are not saturated at all, relying heavily on the mules, which are, you know, he's running out of energy. He's out of energy. His economy is in shambles, but his harvester count's climbing again. So I don't know. I think Viper could still totally win this if he is just patient. Oof, stemming away again. That's damage he'll never get back until those medevacs can get on the field. And I think he's still producing Vikings. Yeah, he's got 4 Vikings out right now. But WillyArms has to be so careful with these Colossi. He can't afford to lose even one of them to the Vikings, and there is a significant number of Vikings out on the field right now. Some repair going on, both in medevacs and SCVs on the Vikings. And the number of, Marines is just very intimidating. Those Marines also have combat shield and stem, so they're going to be quite a force to be reckoned with. Oh, the Colossi scouting the high ground. 3 zealots being warped in, but there's 0 saturation here. It looks like all the energy has been spent back at home. No, this is a pure all-in. All the SCVs have been pulled by Viper. He's just got so much money left at home. It looks like he's going for a base trade. WillyArms pushing up, realizing that the front door is completely open. What are you doing, Viking? Lift off these buildings. This mobility is what gives Terran the edge during these base trades. Big stem from Viper, pushing and leaving a couple of Marauders behind, splitting up his units really nicely, actually, so that he can take out the Nexus and also the infrastructure back at home. For Viper, the home buildings all lift off. These barracks are going to split off and go into completely different directions, really giving Viper an edge in this this base trade scenario. Pushing forward, taking down the Nexus. All of a sudden, the entire economy is dead. All the probes are getting pulled, but they're going to get cut down before they can even get away. Wow, look at that, just demolished in the reeds. It looks like WillyArms, realizing that he will not win the base trade, decides to head home to salvage what structures he can. But remember, 2 pylons placed up at the 3rd for MrWillyarms, so that's going to keep him alive for a significant amount of time. He has been revealed. Viper knows where they are, and it looks like he's loading up his medevacs to send them off in that direction. Will those medevacs get there in time? It looks like WillyArms is aware that his entire base has gone down. There's nothing he can do to save that base. That last assimilator falls, and so he's trying to catch those medevacs. Oh man, this is so freaking tense. Production tab is totally empty. This is the perfect time to switch over to the units tab. 3 Colossi, 6 Zealots, 10 Stalkers. Do those Stalkers have blink? I don't think so. No, they don't. And a lot of sentries with force fields. On the other hand, we've only got 2 medevacs. Not the most mobile of forces for those Marines. And also, they don't have a lot of energy to heal up these units. A lot of stem's been spent. Look at that, all that red. A fantastically weak and large army that's being scouted by the observer. So Protoss knows exactly where Terran is. Unfortunately, Terran, lifted off an orbital command, has made it down into the top left corner, 4th expansion, and is going to be mining there. And he's still got all of those barracks up, and they're going to come in and land and probably start producing units shortly. Here come the Colossi, all of those weak, oh, those Marines, they were so weak from that earlier combat and earlier stims. They all just cut down and fall, but I don't think that was his entire force. Where are the... Here's the medevacs, 2 medevacs totally loaded up with very weak Marines. They're so weak, they're going to be taking quite a lot of damage. 2 of the Colossi have fallen. This 3rd one will go down from the combined fire of 3 Vikings having served their purpose. I wonder if those Vikings will be able to do any damage. It looks like all the Marines had been dumped out and then healed from the medevacs with what energy they have. The Stalkers that were in position to protect the pylons get baited down by the Vikings. A good play there by WillyArms and Viper, I guess. Viper lifting off his medevacs again with the Marines. A quick stem. Unfortunately, they're so weak, having to pick up half of his Marines and drop them again so that they're within range of the pylon. Unfortunately, oh, one of the medevacs goes down, leaving one of the Marines left over. Only 4 Marines left in that medevac. Is that the entire standing force? No, there's one more Marine somewhere. Don't worry. He's got it. Oh, but there's so much on the way. 4 Marines on the way. He's got so much money. Look at that money. Oh, man. And he's not supply blocked either because Protoss never finished destroying the straight-up base. This is incredible. All the medevac has made its way back into the third. He's got 4 incredibly weak Marines and 4 Stalkers that are very, very angry and dealing with that single pylon. Man, WillyArms has to know that orbital got away somehow. He's got to know that there's mining going on. He's going to find it eventually. It looks like he's just now going to find it. But the real question is, will these Marines be able to drop in and do some damage to that pylon? There they go. There goes the stem. Oh, they're engaging the choke and they're engaging the Stalkers. They all go down from the combined fire, and that medevac's going to fall. Oh, but the barracks have been continually producing Marines. You now have a bunch of fresh Marines down on the low ground. Will WillyArms pull his Stalkers away from this pylon, leaving it exposed? It looks like here comes the push. That's actually a lot of Marines. They're stemming so that they can sprint across. Remember, he's got structures scattered all over the base. WillyArms has found the barracks, but it's too late. Those barracks have done their job. They've produced quite a lot of Marines. They're pushing in. Don't target fire the Stalkers. Target fire the pylon. Oh man, Viper succeeds in taking down the Stalkers and wins the game. This is absolutely ludicrous. That is an incredible game. Hats off to Viper for keeping your head and choosing the correct engagement. You know, that pylon was placed in low ground to abuse the high ground, low ground relationship, and that's what you did. You dropped your units right here, took out the pylon, picked them up, and then as WillyArms was bringing his entire army up onto the high ground, scooted off to the low ground and tried to take out the pylon. Unfortunately, there was just so much from WillyArms that you couldn't quite land the deal there. Fantastic play here, especially stemming them pre-stem here so they could close the distance very, very quickly. Yeah, that was fantastic. If you guys have another game equally epic as this one or less, my standards are not that high, you could PM me here or on Reddit. Love to cast it, and I love you. Yeah. So I will see you guys later. I am Ibigandscary.